Arne Slot has labelled Newcastle United a small club. Eddie Howe has responded to that in the press conference this morning, as well as giving some huge injury updates ahead of the visit of Fulham. Yes, people, welcome back to the Magpie Channel TV. Just like Sandro Tonali, I'm also a late fitness test for the game tomorrow. As you would have seen the video from a few days ago, being under the weather, like Tonali. Because Howe has said once again that he is a doubt for tomorrow's game because of a bug that seems to be going around that everyone's had, that I've had now. But thanks to everyone for the well wishes and the get well soon messages on the last video. Appreciate that one. And hopefully I'll be on the mend and I'll reach to be in attendance for the game tomorrow. Maybe even chuck us up front. You fancy it, Eddie? Do you know what I mean? Little few flicks and tricks with Nick Valtamada. Wouldn't go miss. Well, there's loads to get into in this video. And I tell you what, Slot is lucky that I wasn't on full fitness yesterday when this news came out of him belittling the Magpies. But before we get into all that, let's have a word from our sponsors. Before we get into today's video, a big thank you to Midnite for supporting us on this one. You can scan that QR code on your screen there now, or hit the link in the description to get your free bet once you place that £10 bet. So if you're betting this weekend, get yourselves on Midnite. Fastest payouts guaranteed, best odds guaranteed, easy to use app. You get your free bets on there as well. It's an absolute no-brainer. So wait until the end of the video to see my tip for this weekend as well. So, Arne Slot in a press conference yesterday, after another awful performance from Isak and being hooked at half-time. Well, it wasn't just because of a bad performance and a lack of goals, once again, from the Swedish striker. It was because of a groin injury that Newcastle fans know all too well. We warned Liverpool about this. We said to them, he misses loads of matches, as well as he does miss loads of chances as well. But they didn't want to listen. But apparently, it's all Newcastle's fault anyways. It's all Newcastle's fault. I've got it here, right? I've got it here. And Eddie Howe has responded, but he refused to be dragged into a war of words with the manager, which I wish he would have, to be honest. But again, it's good to see him being professional and, appropriate, unlike Baldy. But that's what I'm here for. I don't have to be professional. I'm with myself. Fuck you, Arne Slot. I'll see how it is. But what did Arne Slot say, first of all, about Isak and him being injured and obviously the lack of form? Because just the other day, he said that we can judge Isak now. He's fit. He's had his pre-season with us because he didn't have one himself because he refused to go on pre-season with Newcastle United, who were paying him big money at the time. That wasn't good enough for him. So it's all Isak's fault. Unless you're Arne Slot, who believes it's all our fault. All Newcastle United Football Club's fault because we're a small club. He said here on Isak and what's going on and why he's struggling. Maybe a player who hasn't trained or played in pre-season at a smaller club than if you were at Liverpool. So you can't compare it, he said. So there we go, straight off. He's calling Newcastle a small club. It's our fault that he is injured, once again. It's our fault that he hasn't got up and running. No, I would say it's Alexander Isak's fault for not representing the club that were paying his wages at the time. It's his fault. It was his decision to not travel to Asia on the pre-season tour, to not play any pre-season tour games. Yeah, I was in Salt Lake at the pissing down rain in Glasgow. Yeah, watching us get battered. And Isak got sent home. Yeah, so he missed them games, he missed Asia, and he missed the start of the Premier League season. And karma is a bitch, because if Isak had have just behaved professionally, did the right thing, represented the club that he'd been at for years, that made him, Eddie Howe, the coaching staff, the fans, made him who he was. Now he's reverted back to 6 goals a season. Sociedad, Isak. Unlucky you rat. But if he had have represented us, he had have played his part in the black and white, then he maybe would have hit the ground running at Liverpool. If he had have played Villa away, if he had have played Leeds early doors and then that deal got done on deadline day, or was Leeds after? I don't know, whatever it was. If he had have just played the opening couple of games in the Premier League, then he would have been fine. He would have been alright, because he would have had that fitness, he would have had that form, probably might have nicked a goal or two, or at least had the match sharpness to go and reignite his Liverpool career. To restart it, to carry on afresh. So there's problems there for him that he created himself. It's not because Newcastle's training ground isn't the best. It's not because any other reason apart from Isak not doing his job. He didn't do his job. He went on strike. He still looks like he's on bloody strike, to be honest with you. So it's his fault and his fault only. So Slot can blame Newcastle because he's getting all the stick now for spending all that money, and now everyone's saying it. What we were saying earlier on, it's greed. They don't need him. They've got Ekitike. Ekitike was their only good performance summer signing. Now he's getting dropped for Isak, and Isak's flopping week in, week out. And he doesn't look fit. Doesn't look ready. that's because of himself. Nobody else should take the blame. I think it's really disgusting and disgraceful what Slot said, to call us a small club. There was absolutely no need for that. And you can see he's under pressure now. He's feeling it, yeah? He's absolutely feeling it because of a few losses in a row. Yes, the one against Frankfurt the other night in the Champions League, but before that was at 4 losses in a row. So he's feeling the pressure. He's feeling the criticism of the big money signings. You know, he inherited a Jurgen Klopp side, won the league with them because Man City and Arsenal fell off, and now he spent 450 million to make them worse. And now that Arsenal are actually looking like they could become champions and have got that great determination about them this season that they've been lacking for years, finishing second every time, they are stumbling, fumbling and failing. And Slot is crying his eyes out. He's taking a good mentor, actually, from Turkey Teeth. You know what I mean? With Klopp when he used to whinge his tits off. Slot has inherited his playbook. You must have found an old notepad in the training ground at Liverpool with Klopp's crying notes on it, Klopp's crybaby, and he's took every single one out of the book. And now he's starting off, and now he's, you know, belittling Newcastle, calling us a small club. Bang out of order. What did Eddie Howe said? He wouldn't rise to Slot's accusations. He said the setup here is very good. It's not perfect. We've got things to improve and to grow, but the owners have developed the facilities since I've been here very well. He said, you know, Alex is a Liverpool player now. He's not going to go into that. He doesn't see the need to do that, which I get, which is fine. He said, you know, he went on to talk, sticking up for the builders, yeah. He said there's building work going on, and we're trying to deliver a better facility in the future. But I have no complaints. We've got elite athletes here, many of them, and touch wood, we're managing pretty well at the moment. But yeah, you know, with these out there, he's not getting drawn into it. That's fair enough. He's talking about a training ground, but I like the point at the end there where he's saying, well, we've got elite athletes here. You know, we've got top players here that are doing all right. Voldemort seems to like the training ground enough, doesn't he? He hasn't been there very long. I think the training ground's all right for Big Nick. No, I mean, Isaac the Rat. You know what I mean? So there's no problems there. Tonali, he seems all right, doesn't he? It's the flu, not an injury, so don't come out as that one. And everyone else, Malik Chow, fresh from Germany, new signing. Where's the time to settle in for him? Nah, doesn't need it. Loves Benton. Absolutely loves it. I like this bit here, and I was going to mention this as well, the fact that Newcastle beat Arne Slot in the Carabao Cup last year to deter him from winning his first trophy before he went on to win the Premier League at Liverpool. I like that one. In Newcastle, you know, we might be struggling a bit in the Premier League, hopefully that turns around tomorrow, but in the Champions League, we're doing pretty well. Top 8, actually, above Baldy's Liverpool. So Eddie Howe was asked about this. Would he fight back in the sense that Newcastle are doing well in the Champions League ahead of them and did beat them in the final? Eddie said, I like the way you've worded that. Encourage me to go into bat. I didn't have to do that. I don't feel you've done it for me, reading off all those things. I think you'll know what my answer would be. So again, he's going around saying, like, yeah, for a small club, we're doing all right, aren't we? Winning in finals against you and currently above you in the Champions League. And hopefully we can get on a little run in the Premier League and knock them out as well. That would be fantastic. You know, knock them out the top 4. Unlikely, because, you know, Liverpool spent 450 million on the squad, so they should be getting at least top 4, shouldn't they? Should be retaining the title. But yeah, excuse me, I'm not going to waste any more of my little flued up energy on Slot, but I will just finish off by saying I thought it was bang out of order, so unnecessary, so distasteful, and absolutely pointless, and just shows the pressure he's under now with failing to build on spending that much money and how poorly Isaac is doing. So that's enough on the rat and the baldy bastard. So as I mentioned earlier in the video, Tonali is struggling. We're getting to team news now, there's lots of it. Tonali is struggling with the flu as well. He trained on Wednesday, but he hasn't been 100%, so he is a doubt tomorrow. But some more positive news on our fullbacks, particularly Lewis Hall, who probably isn't going to make the squad tomorrow, but he is very close to returning to the side, which is likely to be against Spurs in the Cup next week. So that is a huge welcome boost to this side, because at the minute we've got Burn and Trippier as our only fit fullbacks, and they are doing a tremendous job in the 30s. Burn's just trying to smash in 30-yard volleys, and Trippier's just performing solid week in, week out. So, yeah, Hall could be back next week against Spurs in the Carabao Cup, and Tino Livramento is on course for a return in 3 to 4 weeks' time, middle of November, so that's very welcome news on that part. Jacob Ramsey's doing well too here. Eddie Howe's got big hopes for him, and said that he's looking good in training, so he can feature once again. He did, obviously, against Benfica on Tuesday night. And Johan Wissa will be back in November as well. He's returned, I said a couple of weeks ago now, I think he'll be back on the bench as they aim against Athletic Club in the Champions League. And then Brentford, his old side, the following weekend after that. But it's going to be a steady comeback for Johan Wissa because of the injury he sustained in Congo. That really messed him up, trying to get up to speed with his fitness. So he's looking at a slow reintroduction, or just introduction, because he hasn't been there yet, to the Newcastle squad. Good to see him this week at the training ground. He's been pictured on a Sula's Snapchat, I think it was, where he's been back on the grass there. So he's training. He's looking likely to come back in a few weeks' time. But because of the injury he sustained, and like I said, he hasn't played many matches to get up to sharpness and speed, it's going to take 6 to 8 weeks, Eddie Howe said, before he's fully match fit. So that's going to be his kind of pre-season, really, slowly integrating into the side. So yes, he may come off the bench in those Champions League or Premier League matches. Hopefully he won't feel the need to start him. Hopefully Voltemada's still firing and Wissa can be, brought in 20 minutes here, 40 minutes there off the bench, and then maybe even play together. It'd be interesting to see how Wissa and Voltemada do up front together, or, rotating. But I'm really excited to see Wissa, our number 9 that we paid 55 million quid for, and we haven't seen him yet. But yeah, it's going to be a real slow introduction for him until he gets up to match fitness, which makes sense, really. You're not going to rush him back and then potentially get a longer term injury. Slowly but surely, get Wissa in the side and hopefully get him scoring goals. But this has got to mean he's not going to be at AFCON, really. So he's not going to get back until mid-November. The saying it's going to take 6 weeks to get him up to speed. So that's bloody January at least. So you kind of see him going away with Congo in December. They must have accepted that now. I really hope so. We talked about this the other week. Yes, they're going to want their best player there, their biggest star. But he got injured for them. That was poor on their part. Playing him 2 games in the space of a few days when he didn't have a pre-season. Got injured on a crappy plastic pitch in Sudan. And then he's out for months for the tune. So you can't have him back for a couple of weeks for Newcastle and then ship him back to AFCON, where, the injury could happen again if he's playing all these matches. He's not given those 6 to 8 weeks to get up to speed. So hopefully this means he won't be going to AFCON, and he'll be fit and firing for Newcastle ASAP. So it's Fulham tomorrow. Here is my midnight tip. There it is. I came so close against Brighton last week. I had Voltemada, Welbeck, 1-1, bet builder, 300 quid off a fiver. If you've seen the preview last week, you can go back and see if you don't believe this. But it was just short because of Danny Welbeck scoring the winner, the bastard. So tomorrow, I've went for that on your screen there, 1-0 Voltemada, because I do think it'll be a close, tight match. These games against Fulham aren't easy. Marcus Silva's a very good manager. Fulham are a very good footballing side. It's a slippery one, this, because it's the exact sort of fixture that Newcastle could slip up in after everyone's riding high from the Benfica win and confidence is there. 3 o'clock on a Saturday. Howe mentioned his pressure this morning is very different mentally for the players to get up with that instead of a bright lights game, at St James's Park Champions League anthem. Fulham on a Saturday, 3 o'clock. Expectations there to win, mid-table team. But they're a very good mid-table team. Shows the quality of the Premier League. I'm not expecting a walkover here at all. That's why I went for a 1-0. I kind of think it could be 2-0 now. And I kind of think it's going to be Voltemada to score once again in the Premier League. But let us know your thoughts in the comments. Do your score predictions for that one. If you fancy a punt, get yourself on that QR code and link in the description for midnight. So, Robinson, Anderson, Lukic, Chukwueze and Rodrigo Muñoz are all unavailable for the Cottagers, as well as Tom Cairney being a doubt. Fulham, however, haven't been looking good of late, to be fair. Back of 3 successive defeats. 3-1 at Villa and Bournemouth and 1 at home to Arsenal. Tough games there, weren't they? Tough away games as well. So, yeah, if you look at Newcastle's record, though, last year we got beat 2-1 off Fulham. Won 3-0 the year before that, won 1-0 the year before that. A couple of draws and a loss. So, the record against them isn't the best. But yeah, I'm hoping we're scrape it tomorrow. I just want 3 points. It's so important now to get this on the board for Newcastle. I've seen people say must-win game online. I don't want to go that far in October, but with us being in 13th, 14th, whatever it is, we don't want that gap to continue to increase. I think it's vital we just get 3 points on the board tomorrow. Premier League table looks better. We'll get through that, and then, a busy week once again next week with the Carabao defence against Spurs at home and West Ham away on the Sunday. So let us know what you think of this video. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hopefully I'll be back tomorrow at the game with the match reaction. if I can get rid of this floozies. But yeah, thanks everyone. Cheers, appreciate your support. Please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Drop a like and enjoy yourself.